Well, hey there team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to a bit more Stationeers. We should probably deal with that filter issue while we're at it. Now on the airlock, it occurs to me that these doors, when you construct them, actually have quite a wide span. So we will... filters will be in this. I will be putting like a full proper structural block there, and we'll run the pipes through that after all that. What am I doing? Filter. Carbon. There we go. Oh, straight into it, hey? Alright, cool. So, pick that up. Swap that, launch that into the abyss. Good work. Okay, cool. This thing can go there. I'm slowly kicking it along. Alright, yeah, so we'll still favor this side. I guess I'll have to pull down this wall. Crowbar, of course. I think it's an angle grinder. Nice. Oh, we'll just pop that over there. Oh. Just out the road there. Little pile of tools. Alright. We'll make another frame, I think. My steel will be in here. Frame. Then we'll pop that up. Right, so that's what we're probably going to be working with. But the only sort of issue with this is once we start making it structural like that, the pipes and wires will run through it fine. But it becomes a bit of an embuggerance to sort of mess with them and change them or anything like that. So it's got to be one and done. Also, I think there's actual sort of encroachment and clearance issues with the airlock. You can't usually run things under it, but you can probably not run things down the side too. You can run them over the top though. Interesting. Anyway, even more reason why we might need more room for this thing. Okay. Better swap this out as well. Come on, just select my hand, please. Oh my god. I think someone was making a counterpoint to what I was saying about this grid, and what I was actually talking about was a general theory, not as it lays out now. As it's laying out now, it is flawed, but it's serviceable. All I was trying to say is that you need a redundancy system to be able to jumpstart your power generator, because this, in essence, requires power to work via that. This current layout is just an evolution of us stacking shit on top of it, and it's not perfect, right? It's obviously it browns out and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, so I wasn't saying that this is the perfect system. What I was trying to illustrate is that you want essentially a jumpstart system to power your dish, right? Which is kind of impossible to do. You can't really have it feeding off your own grid back in. Like, that defeats the whole purpose. Like, you can do that, but there is potentially a scenario where you flatten the grid and therefore you can't start it. The good news is, at least in this scenario, is that it's as simple as repositioning the dish potentially. Well, I mean, you could maybe create a scenario where you could just reposition the dish to take the sun, and that would be enough to get the circuit going. But in this case, because of the brownout, that's not so much. So perhaps having just making sure that you've got a dedicated battery charger, maybe even just specifically for the solar farm logic, and it just doesn't get touched, so it always holds charge. So when something goes wrong, you have an emergency battery that you can switch in. That's the completion of the thought at what I was trying to convey, but I feel like maybe I wasn't putting that down correctly. All right, so we're going to have to do a little bit of work here. We're going to... Well, there's going to be a lot of structural work happening here, right? So we'll need an active vent. We're probably... The way it's going to work, actually, I believe the way that the logic system works, I didn't look it up, but it's okay because we're not necessarily going to need to know it. Oh my god, all the warnings constantly popping off. Is that I think you will essentially have two airlock systems. You'll essentially have two vents. I can't really see it running off of one vent, but you will have one console. So we'll potentially have like two vents, I don't know, in the roof or something like that, and we'll have a console, and you can program the console to sort of cycle them in sequence. And then we'll have this sort of room in here. So let's get to work. What I might as well do is use these wall kits for the rest of the base, because we'll be able to put vents on the wall here. And power. Yeah, look, as best as I can tell, we should be able to just wall this in. Right? Like so. So lots to do. We're getting there.
Jetpack on.
I guess we can seal the roof in. There's no reason why not.
Jetpack on.
Can't really walk on these, I'm pretty sure. You'll just fall through them. So this will need to be sealed in. Now, as far as actual, like, atmospherics, because... And it's not something that we've really addressed in here, because now, jury's out on plants with the CO2 and oxygen and all that sort of... they need CO2 in there, but I'm not really sure if it's much at all, or if it just has to have a trace amount in the air. It's not actually super clear. These walls just require a normal iron sheet, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, let's get 10 going. We're gonna need more of this. So what I'm getting at is it won't be enough for us to even make a nice mixture of air and just jam it in that room and have the airlock constantly recycle it back in. Because every time that we go in there and presumably take our suit off and actually use it and breathe said air, we're going to be not so much contaminating it, but we're obviously at the very least converting a bunch of oxygen into like CO2. So what we need to do, as cool as the airlock will be, the airlock's a little bit secondary. At least, I mean, getting the functional vents going, but having a proper sort of cycle is not that big a deal. Like, just having a bare bones one's good. But ultimately, we're going to want to come up with a filtration system, right? And potentially a resupply. What we probably, I think, is a jumping off point, having the now how much of this is iron and how much is this steel? Iron. That just is frame, so it's steel. So they're going to need one more. So 1, 2, 3, and a steel, right? Sorry, I'm trying to get some work done because we need to get some structural stuff done, and we might as well do it now. So, having like a housing for our current oxygen tank that we have, right? That is an option. It's probably a smart one as well. Have that integrated and then sort of just mixed in. But because there is oxygen in the atmosphere, even though it's only like 1% or something stupidly low, and there's nitrogen as well, that's a perfectly good mixture to make our own, you know, oxygen. We don't want pure oxygen in there. Good way to blow yourself up. I've done that in the past. Which you can go dig that up if you're curious. Oh, hang on, what am I doing? I need to make one more. But yeah, we're going to have to come up with our own sort of system. To scrub all the air and that sort of stuff, which is exciting to me because I haven't done any of that. It's all very theoretical for me. So, it's come together. So what we'll ultimately do to get the ball rolling, right? We're not going to have a console command airlock because we're not going to have it wired in just yet, because that's the other thing as well. We do need to shore up our grid potentially. So we're just going to have a manual airlock, right? I'll have two vents, two active vents, probably one there, one there. One literally runs out to there and the other one draws in from the main sort of atmosphere. It's going to be that simple. Drain the airlock down to vacuum and then fill it with whatever from there. I mean, I guess we could even get away with one, but if we're going to pump the pressure up, in this game, pressure is significant. Lulan, I think the pressure is generally about 100 kPa to 150, and you get belted around, you get launched, you get smashed by objects and all that sort of stuff. It's the way that this thing's engine runs, it's quite significant. So that's how we're going to do that. We will have to shore the grid up at some point as part of the build, so we'll probably put a line of solar panels on the roof. But as far as the sort of air thing, I guess we'd have to have an intake system, right? We'd have to have it drawing in. We should have like a portable scrubber, but having said that, because of where we're at now, we don't want that actually. I'd want a fixed scrubber to get the ball rolling, sort of thing. 6 fixed atmospherics. Anyway, let's continue on. Active vent, iron, gold, and copper. Got any more for me? I didn't actually check. Cool. Interesting. So, probably makes sense to actually lay the pipe LAN cable. First, because it's going to have to go through the wall. Alright. We'll run the power down because there are power connectors for the airlock, so we'll run the pipe up. And it's sort of hard to get the right depth. I think what we'll do is that. And like I said, I'll give the doors that extra bit of clearance. Oh my god, come on please. Perfect. So that should be right. Will you let me float it? It won't let me float it, not yet. Poo. Okay, that's right. So the vent will go in last because it has nothing structural to get on. But essentially, active vent will go here, passive vent will go there, right? And we should be able to make a fairly mirror pipe system here as well. Nope. Good old depth perception there. Tell me that's right. Ah, much better. And that one, I suppose we could cut straight in. Oh, actually, no, because it's an airlock door nonetheless, so... yeah, so we'll do something like that. As far as cable goes, because even though we're not going to wire it all in, it's still good sort of to consider, because I don't really want to go tearing that wall open again if I can help it. There's going to be 2 connectors in the bottom, and then we're going to probably have a console in the center, right? So there'll be busy cable work down here on the floor, which is fine. We'll be able to do that. But what we actually really need is a connector sort of poking out here. Yeah. Which it will run straight out like that. But it'd want to run like that too. So it's going to go up the wall, it's going to go along the floor. Okay, that's cool. And then what we'll do is we'll run this back into inside here, as opposed to running out the front there. Having said that, we'd want... the grid's going to sort of No, well, if we're running these paper-thin walls, we could always run a cable straight out like that. That's fine, right? So what we'll do is this. So if it needs to connect back onto the grid that's going to be external, like that battery out there is probably going to be our grid for a long time. I don't see us moving it anytime soon. So we'll just run a cable out the side wall to sort of get that going. And there you go. There's your active vent too, so... oops, my bad. Do something like that. Okay, so I can't foresee just yet anything else having to go in there. Now that's a steel frame, and they're not steel sheets. I mean, look, there might be something that needs to go in there, but what I'm trying to do truly is get enough of the... we'll get the insides laid out so we can actually turn that structural so I can put the vents on it. No, we want sheet. Right. But yeah, we'd have to... and also, I think someone was asking about cooling. So we'll create like... we should be able to create a pressure... as long as we've got enough power, right? A pressure switch regulated refrigeration system. I've had a good think about this, but I've never had a chance to do it. Which would be... we'd have external pipes go to the internal, right? Heating pipe, or what coolant, I suppose. But what you could do is... just as a quick aside, like say the pipe's sort of coming in right at that sort of crossover point. I guess we can be a little bit more sloppy now that we've got insulated pipes, so we can do all sorts of cool stuff. I'm assuming the insulation's 100% with that. Someone was asking about it, but yes, these pipes do radiate heat. That's what I use them for, not for radiators. Radiators are so effective, it's a bit of a pain. But in this case, maybe we'd run pipe outside, we'd put a radiator on it, we'd run it through a, would it be a pressure regulator? No, it wouldn't be a back pressure regulator. But we could regulate the temperature. And we would have like a temperature sensor set up to a regulator. Surely there's like an automated valve or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, there we go. We do that, and we would have it basically detect the temperature of the base at, like, say, 20 degrees or 25. degrees or something like that. So like, if it did rise above it, which is likely what's going to happen, we would have the valve open essentially, and it would allow the refrigerated external pipe air to flow through the pipe to mix with the internal circulation air. Now, I mean, we'd have to probably make it we'd have to be careful with it because it'll be very cold air. So, but hypothetically, you could do that to almost passively regulate the heat in the room. I mean, it's still going to need sensors and that sort of stuff, but and power. Bit more iron, bit more copper. Do we have any copper? Anyway, it's one of those projects I've thought about, but I've never really, gotten around to. Alright. But I guess one thing at a time. I suppose if anything, you know that my thoughts are there. Oh well, even with the crowbar system, we're still going to have to power these, because we will. But the amount of draw that even just the normal doors take from your grid is actually ridiculously high. A lot of people don't understand that. So you plugging them in is not something I do lightly, because I obviously run with a pretty low power grid. And then we'll potentially put a console there, or like we could put the console on the reverse side. I haven't done it in a while, if we're being perfectly honest. But at the moment, as long as we get a functional bloody airlock going. Now, I could be totally wrong. It could be some sort of system where it actually uses one, but I don't know how it would, because how else would you valve, you'd need valve systems to stop a passive vent being passive. I'm pretty certain it actually requires 2 vents. Yeah.
Hunger, caution.
Or it might not actually, because you can send signals. Maybe it needs active vents on the exterior, and it can reverse them with the signal. I'm not 100% sure. But that's right. At least for the moment, we're going to have a functional cycling system. Well, I probably should do my rounds, eh? Nope. 40 degrees. Oh, they are not liking that. Good thing I remembered to check. I'll look after my potatoes every once in a while. Alright. Set out. See that? What a drop. I mean, we'll just wait for it to settle because it's all moving around still, but... Alright. That'll do, I think. Set inward. Nice. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. We'll see how that sort of works out. Again, I'll look into the game concepts on how they do cycling and that as well. We should do that I'll do that before the next episode. But we needed to get some infrastructure up, and I was surprised how quickly we got the room up, to be perfectly honest. So that's out of the way. So the next one we'll probably be looking at the airlock, at least so I can confirm how they set up their vents and pipes usually, because this is one of those things that's sort of a core game concept that I've forgotten about. And in your ship, in this, I believe you come with a lot of gear to make an actual airlock, I think. Maybe not cartridges, but yeah, there we go. We've got an airlock thing, and we've also got a console and a data disk. Jeez, hang on, why do we have a bloody data disk here? Surely you need a computer to format the data disk, because that's how you used to have to do it before you could do the fine adjustments on the logic for the 1.8. I think you'd have to get a computer and hard program it into wait, no, maybe not with disk. Anyway, that's alright. I'm talking at my bum. Lots of different concepts have come and gone, and I've been playing this on and off for so long that's why it's all a bit hazy, you know. So they change different things and add different things, and that's alright, we'll get there in the end. Alright team, thanks again for joining us for another episode. I might just leave it there for the time being, and I will catch you guys on the next one.